Welcome to Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast urging you to let it go and don't look back. With nationally acclaimed professional organizer Christine Stone and self-proclaimed hot damn mess radio and TV personality Eden Kendall.
Welcome, everybody, to Uncluttered and Unfiltered. It hasn't been months, but it has been weeks since we've done an episode. It's kind of our topic today, taking a break, giving yourself permission, and then also what do you find out about yourself when you do take that break? And if you're just joining us for the very first time, because maybe you saw us on TV or on social media, we are Uncluttered and Unfiltered, the podcast for women over 50. My name is Eden Kendall. I am not organized, so don't let the name of this podcast fool you. Christine, however, is a professional organizer.
Yes.
And we do talk quite often about ways that you can become more organized, but that's just not our one and only theme.
No, it's not. But after 50, there's a lot of stuff you want to let go of. So that's why we touch on it.
Exactly. You want to let go of stuff physically and, of course, spiritually, mentally, all of the lees that you can think of. So we're really glad you're here. Let's talk, let's get a little bit caught up. Okay, so since you and I last talked, TikTok turned off and turned back on.
Yes.
And that's a whole thing. And we're not going to get into any politics.
No.
But let's talk about, do we care? Do we not care? What do we think is happening? Is this a big controversial conspiracy? Did Facebook buy TikTok? What do you think?
Well, okay, so my daughter deleted the app and can't get back on. So I find that it's not in the app store. I did not delete the app, only probably because I didn't even think to do that. So I'm still on. So what I think is that it just is different. That's all I'm going to say.
Something's changed. You think they've sold and we just don't know yet?
Something
or do you think,
has changed.
Like they said, they put on this message saying, we're off, but we're hopeful, and then they come back like the same day.
Yeah.
We're back. So it's just a crazy thing. Now, normally, women our age, you'd be like, TikTok, what do you care? But we know that you can find a lot of people out on TikTok, and you can learn a lot of things, and there's fun to be had on TikTok.
I know it's changed because my algorithm has changed. I used to get a lot of home decorating, makeup tips, those type of things. I'm not getting any of that anymore, which really bums me out because there were some good tips and tricks.
So you think systemically, within TikTok, it has definitely changed hands,
yes.
you think?
Yes.
Because you're noticing
But
that.
that's my thoughts. But pre-shutting down, my thought on TikTok, and I talked to you about this before, is I think there are just so many lonely people, and sometimes it makes me really sad because it just shows how people think the people out in TikTok world are their family, are their friends, and they really get so emotional, at least the old algorithm I was on, of how they were really invested in TikTok.
That's not even the people who are making a living, which is so many people.
Exactly. These were not people making a living selling anything. They just really, to me, it really hit a niche with loneliness. And it made me a little sad, like I said, because it just shows you how many lonely people there are out there.
To see how devastated some people were. But either way, whether it goes away, whether it doesn't go away, there will be something to replace it. There really already is.
Right. And there's always something
And one less
new.
social media thing doesn't bother me.
Doesn't bother me
at
either.
all. But let's see, what else has happened since I last saw you? We watched the Golden Globes.
Oh, yes.
And Demi Moore was on there for the movie Substance.
The Substance, yes.
Okay, I didn't see that movie.
I did see that movie.
So first of all, yay, she won a Golden Globe.
And she deserved it.
What
if
is
you
that
saw
movie?
this movie, you would say she definitely deserved
what is it?
it.
What is it?
Well, the reason why I was fascinated by it, because my daughter, who's 34, was on the fence about it. But then I said, well, what's the concept? And she told me, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to watch it. So the concept is, her name is Elizabeth Sparkle. She's renowned for an aerobic show, kind of like a Jane Fonda type thing, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced, younger version of herself. So it's a bit sci-fi, which I'm not really a big sci-fi person, But first of all, her acting was phenomenal. And it shows when you hit a certain age, like her boss was saying, you're done. We're high. They want younger. They want younger. They want prettier. They want perkier. And so she was desperate. So she did this, but it ends up, sorry, spoiler alert.
Wait, stop. She's going to spoil it right now.
Yep.
So either you hit fast forward.
Yep.
Or okay. I've already told you I probably won't see it.
You're right.
Because it's just really not my type of movie.
Right.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. But it backfires.
Okay.
She ends up doing it, but it backfires, and she realizes, like, the moral of the story is she should have been happy with what she had, because she starts aging because the younger version of herself doesn't want to go back to being old. And that wasn't the deal. There was an agreement. So she, the older Demi Moore, starts to age. Her hands get old. Her face starts to get really old. And she wants to go back to her normal 50-year-old self. And they're like, sorry, that's not how this works. Once you start aging, we can't age you back. So the moral of the story is she should have just been happy with her healthy 50-year-old self and not wanted to be a younger
Okay,
version.
this is like what your mother says.
Yes.
Your mother always says, be happy where you are, because in 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to look back and say, I was so beautiful. I was so young. Even if you're 58, like me, you're going to look back at when you're 68 and say, boy, when I was 58, I had that going on.
And, I didn't really understand it until I got into my 60s. Now I do look at a picture of myself from 10 years ago when I was 52, and I go, God, I looked pretty decent. I mean, I looked pretty
Here's
okay.
a news flash everyone's thinking. You look really decent
Well,
now.
thank
But I
you.
get what you're saying, and I feel the same way.
You don't appreciate it until you get to that point. So aging is really about in your head, but also with social media, I always bring that up. They keep reminding you that you're getting older. They keep reminding you.
And here's why, after you told me about the movie and the premise, here's why I knew I would not watch it. I was scarred from a very young age. And when I say young, I'm telling you, I must have been 6 years old, and I had nightmares for a long time, and I still can't stand the idea of this. There was a movie called The Lost Horizon, and my parents took me to see it in the movie theater. And it was about these people that crashed on a plane, and they landed in this village called Shangri-La. And in Shangri-La, nobody ages. So everybody was very excited to stay, but there was one guy, and I want to say his brother maybe, they wanted to get home. But one of them had already fallen in love with a woman from Shangri-La.
Yeah.
So he's going to take her home with them. Well, they don't get very far before they start screaming, because they look, and there's this woman that they're saving from Shangri-La. She's already so tired they have to carry her, and now she's very old and she's deceased.
Oh,
because they took her out, and she aged really fast.
Oh, yeah, that would freak me out.
When I was a little kid, that scared because she looked like a witch. And so since then, I can't watch the Demi Moore movie. I'm sorry. I'm so glad she got the award. I just can't see the movie. Yeah. Personally, I can't.
But she definitely deserved the Golden Globe, and I hope she wins the Oscar. And by the way, she looks fabulous in real life. Mm-hmm. She doesn't look distorted. She looks just like a more youthful Demi Moore. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know who her doctor is, although I'd love to know.
But she's saying stop before it's too much.
Right. Like
is what a lot of women don't
just normal, you know?
We had, I hosted a daytime, you might even be watching this on this channel, show in Jacksonville, Florida, where we live. And we had some hairstylists on. And I said, what are the trends right now? And one of them said, if you saw Demi Moore's hair on the Golden Globes, just let it go. Just let it go.
Yep.
And so that was now if you're watching the video of this, I'm doing the Galinda from Wicked right now. I'm flipping my hair back. Speaking of Golden Globes, I think that's interesting that long hair on an older woman is so in style. When you and I are growing, we have longer hair now. For the first time really ever as an adult. So it's interesting that's in trend. Yeah, you're a hair person.
Well, I think it's not a style. I think it's what looks best on your face and how you feel. So if I have real short hair, I don't feel good.
But I think it's interesting now that people, when they look at a celebrity that can be older, long hair is something you don't instantly say, oh, she's too old for that hair, because there were
Yep.
a lot of times that people have, thought instantly
Right.
you have to get a bob or you have to do
Right.
this or that. So I think that's a really interesting thing. So let me see. We've got, while we're talking about Demi Moore, in an upcoming episode. Have you ever heard of a hormone disruptor? It doesn't sound good because it isn't, and they're everywhere. You're starting to feel overwhelmed by hormonal changes. We've got something great to share with you. It's called Hormone Harmony, and it contains science-backed herbal extracts called adaptogens. And here's the beauty about those. They help the body adapt to stressors like chaotic hormonal changes. You're not imagining the racing thoughts or the low moods, because those are menopause symptoms. So is poor sleep, bloating, and gas. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. Try Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Use our code UUPodcast at checkout. That's happymammoth.com. Use the code UUPodcast for 15% off today. Go to happymammoth.com and use the code UUPodcast. Uncluttered and Unfiltered is supported by Hearts for Minds. Can you imagine waiting 10 years to get screened for cancer? On average, people with mental health issues experience a 10-year delay between symptoms and seeking help, and close to 2/3 of mental illnesses go untreated. Hearts for Minds promotes healthy lives by promoting mental health education, facilitating early identification, and connecting people to treatment. Are you ready to learn more? Go to heartsforminds.org. That's hearts, the number 4, minds.org for more information and to learn how you can help. I don't want to say it's very upcoming. It's in a couple of weeks,
Right.
so we'll record it. We're going to talk about Brooke Shields' book,
Yes.
which is called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Get Old.
Yes.
And Brooke Shields wrote this book with the notion that for those who, and you showed me this clip
Yes.
of her talking about this,
Yes.
for those who passed away young, their beauty is forever locked in at that age. But if you're someone like Brooke Shields that was a beauty at a young age, as you're getting older, people are not accepting of it.
No.
They don't like to see you age.
No. And you'll see if you follow her on social media, she will show you all the terrible comments people are saying about her on social media, which breaks my heart because I still think she's stunningly beautiful. So I don't know what everyone's talking about, but I do agree that if you are young and famous and you grow older, people now with social media are super critical. Like some of the comments were, God, you look old, you need a facelift. I mean, I can't even imagine someone, number one, saying that. And number two, I don't think she does. I think she looks phenomenal.
And if she'd had a facelift, they'd say, ew.
Right, like
your
what'd you
facelift.
do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, now let's get to this break you took. So, unfortunately, it was because you were so under the weather. So, tell everybody about that.
Well, on Christmas Eve,
No.
I know, I got the flu.
Oh.
I know. And I had everyone in town, the whole entire family. So I had a little PTSD bringing you back to the COVID time when no one could come in your room. They were walking outside our French doors behind my room, waving to me because I didn't want to get my mother, who's 86, sick, or my grandson. So I just stayed in the room. So I had to entertain myself because I was so sick. I watched a lot of TV. I caught up on every show I've ever wanted to watch. So because I had to focus on something. And the second thing I did, which I found very fascinating, was I went off all social media.
Really? At
None.
a time where somebody might go down many, many holes, you decided not to even
You know what it was? I couldn't focus on something like that. My head was throbbing. You know, when you have a head cold and your body aches, you just can't focus. Even to hold a phone could be painful. So I went off all social media, everything. And what did I notice? Well, first of all, I always have like my neck and my shoulders are always bothering me. And I noticed that that all went away. And I'm like, that's weird. How come my neck and shoulders don't bother me? And it's because I'm constantly sitting in bed with an iPad or with my phone, looking down, and I gave my body a break doing that. And I realized that's what was causing a lot of neck and shoulder pain was looking down at my iPad. Because of work, I'm on my iPad and my phone a lot. So I realized by the way, when I got better, I went back to doing my old habits
and your neck hurts.
It came right back. So I knew 100% that's what causes the neck and shoulder pain. The next thing was I did not wash my face.
Okay.
For like 4 days. I didn't have makeup on or any skincare or anything because I hadn't been able to really care about that. And I got up one day and looked in the mirror and I thought, God, for someone who has not washed their face, used any skincare, what's the deal? Your wrinkles have kind of like disappeared a little bit. Well, I realized because of the cough, I was sitting straight up when I slept. I wasn't laying flat like I normally do, like a side sleeper. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, because, people always talk about those pillows that prop you up and they don't sleep on, they always sleep on their back.
Which is good for reflux and things like that.
Yeah, and for wrinkles. If you follow any beauty influencers, they all have that wedge pillow that they sleep on because it prevents the wrinkles. And like I said, I'm a side sleeper, so I definitely, And so I noticed that right away, and I'm like, gosh, that's a real thing. Like you don't have the puffiness under your eyes.
Because the chest wrinkles are terrible when I wake up as a side sleeper.
Yes. I'm telling you, it was like shocking, okay?
Hallelujah.
And also, I realized I may be allergic to eggs.
Okay, you didn't have any eggs while you were sick, and you felt great?
I had no appetite whatsoever. So all of a sudden, when I went back to my normal eating pattern and I would have my scrambled eggs for breakfast, my nose started dripping. And I'm like, I think I might be allergic to eggs.
So much accomplished while you were sick.
So much accomplished. And also, speaking of beauty, I didn't look in my magnifying mirror for 9 days, which I don't know about you ladies, but if you have a magnifying mirror, you're so hypercritical of yourself because you can see everything magnified 10 to 15 times. So I didn't do that anymore. And I was like, wow, maybe I should throw the magnifier, throw it out because I'm constantly critical of little things that no one else sees because they can't see you magnified 15 times.
Right.
And another thing I learned, everyone had to go on without me. So everyone made dinner, everyone cleaned the house, everyone did the laundry. And so when I got up after the company left to go out, back home, I was in a state of shock because I'm the one that does all that. And I thought nobody else was competent enough to do all that. And they made the roast I bought. They did everything all on their own without being asked. And I have to tell you, that was the most eye-opening thing out of the whole thing, because you know how you feel like no one else could do it like you can do it. No one else can cook like you can't do the laundry or clean or anything. It was unbelievable to know that these human beings,
you raised them right, including your husband,
including my husband, can actually do something. Maybe they thought I was dying.
Maybe they did. Whoa. So, okay. Is that the extent of all of it?
Because well, the last one is a little sad because when you have time to contemplate, I'm like, how many Christmases do I really have left now that I just wasted
one? Here
one?
she goes.
I was like, because, I had family and I'm like, my mom's 86, my grandson's little. So I'm contemplating, don't ever, ever do that. Don't contemplate how many summers you have left. When you're 62.
Don't be your own actuary.
No.
You don't want to do it.
No, because it's not fun because the reality is not good.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
You don't need to know that.
You're on a need-to-know basis.
No.
If you needed to know how many you had left,
yes,
God would tell you.
Yes, exactly.
It's a mystery for a reason.
Yes. So that is something I learned, that taking a break was good for me. And I never really thought of that.
Well, I'm sorry that you were under the weather. I hate that you had to feel lousy in order to make all of these
right.
eureka things happen in
Yep.
your life. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Speaking of being kind of dark and melancholy, were you able to recover enough to participate in your family tradition of dead person karaoke?
No, I was
So-
down
so
and out.
For those who don't know, Christine, it's a Christmas Day tradition. They do karaoke of any artists that have passed away
Yes,
through
musicians.
the year, and you would have had.
There
gosh,
wasn't a big selection.
It wasn't
and I'm
like
not
last year.
saying
Because
bad.
the last year it was Tina Turner.
Yeah,
and
there
I wanna
were a
say
lot.
Olivia
This
Newton-John,
past
and-
year,
yeah.
I don't think I missed much. Thank
Yeah,
God.
Thank goodness. We don't
Yeah,
want to have a long
No,
list.
but definitely what took me down for about 10 days.
Okay,
It was
so
a
there
long
was no
one.
chance of
No,
that.
there was no chance.
sorry.
No, thank
I'm
you. But
sorry.
it's over. I'm back to normal.
Okay.
So
Well, we're so happy everyone is back with us for the new year,
Yes.
and
we're excited.
we're very excited. You see, we have a new set, and we'll tell you more about that in our next episode.
Yes.
But for now, just remember, you don't have to get sick with the grunge to take a break and let it go.
And don't look back.